Well, we did it, folks. We finally reached another milestone here by hitting 600 subs. I know I say this with every milestone I reach on here, so I'm hoping it doesn't feel hollow by now, but I really am thankful so many of you do what you do to help and support my content. It really means the world to me how much you guys support what I do. And for this sub special, I held a little Twitter poll, and the victor was me talking about my top 10 favorite GameCube games, a system that I grew up on and have a lot of fond memories of. Like my other top 10 game videos, this is going to follow the same rules as those. No multi-platform games, no remasters. With that said, let's get into this. Starting off this list is a pretty weird but rather underrated game for this system. It seems kind of strange to think now, considering 3D platformers are a lot more rare these days, but back during the GameCube era they were kind of everywhere, and some were really goofy. The one that caught my eye, though, was Billy Hatcher and the Giant Egg, a game where a little boy put on a chicken suit and rolled eggs around to kill enemies so he could scream cock-a-doodle-doo so they could hatch. This game invented a furry of some kind somewhere. Honestly, what drew me to Billy Hatcher? I don't know why I waited to say that. What drew me to Billy Hatcher was just how weird the whole game was. It had that oddball charm that made you really have fun running through levels and beating bosses. It had some big flaws. It's really short and way too easy, but holy hell, if you're up for one hell of a weird fun time, Billy Hatcher is easily for you. Plus, it's the only Sega game I know of where you can just do shit like this. I rest my case. I'm certain this pick is probably kind of a left turn, as I'm guessing a lot of people would normally put something like the Mario Striker games on these kinds of lists. But to me, the best Mario sports games on the GameCube was Mario Superstar Baseball. For not only its fun gameplay and honestly pretty interesting story mode, but for one other reason. This game is charming as hell and cracks me up every time I play it. From the goofy super abilities, to the silly fields, to the Delfino Isle guys going blah, 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 whenever they go to bat. It's all just so fucking fun. This game is just a straight up good feels time, and easily some of the most fun I've had in a sports game just ever. And I'm not really much of a sports guy. Sad most of the Mario sports games nowadays lack this kind of personality. Maybe one day we will get one. Maybe one day. I'm gonna be real on this one, Chief. After the Nintendo 64 era of games, I really feel like Mario Party just struggled to maintain the same level of quality that ended friendships that it had mastered with 2 and 3, as I felt like they started to rely too much on gimmicks rather than being a solid fun experience overall. That doesn't mean that they were all bad, as some did get close to that level, or at least got to a passable grade. Mario Party DS was really good, 8 was alright, Superstars and Super Mario Party are more just about course correction, so I'm hoping the next one fixes everything. But there was one that I think was able to reach the levels of the N64 trilogy, and that was Mario Party 4. It had it all. Fun boards with creative designs, goofy-ass powers and minigames, a nice cast of characters, and most importantly of all, friendship-ending bullshit like stealing stars and betrayal galore. It's fantastic as all hell. Sad that most other Mario Party games just couldn't keep that same energy. Except for Mario Party DS, go play that one. Yeah, there really shouldn't be a surprise that a lot of Mario is going to be showing up on this list. GameCube had a truckload of these games after all, and out of all of them, none were anywhere near as divisive as the second ever 3D Mario platformer, Super Mario Sunshine. And while I loved Mario Sunshine for its creative level design and interesting FLUDD gameplay, it's also very easy to understand what's frustrating about it. Mainly the levels where you can't use FLUDD were just absolutely insane bullshit rage fests. Those weren't the only bullshit levels. I'm thinking of the infamous Pachinko, or maybe even that awful watermelon level. But even with those bad levels, Mario Sunshine is to this day one of the most creative and fun platformers I've ever played. I honestly hope one day we get a sequel, because I'd love to see what a perfected version of this gameplay would be like. Maybe when that one, fan game sequel comes out, I can try it. If you guys don't know about that, look it up. It's actually pretty fucking cool. Okay, holy fucking shit, this game is fun as hell. I honestly didn't even know this game existed until like 2 weeks ago. I just looked up something to play on my Dolphin emulator while I was working on videos. So I was scrolling through some sites and I found this thing. I downloaded it, and holy shit, I did not expect to get as addicted as I am to it. Well, as addicted as I was to it, because I just beat it recently. But I digress. This game has everything. A fun, goofy story, fast, insanely gripping combat, nice looking graphics, crazy amounts of customization, and like, I really mean crazy, there were like hundreds of pieces of equipment here. It did all of that and more to create an incredibly solid experience. The game's humor and characters may not exactly be for everyone, but if you can look past those, you find yourself having a blast with a super fun robot action game. I should really try more of this series. Maybe there's another one I can play. So, tell me, folks, how do you take Mario Kart, one of the most chaotic racing series out there, and make it even more crazy? Why, you give players a second teammate, of course. And lo and behold, Mario Kart Double Dash was born. The idea to have a Mario Kart game focused on 2 people in a single kart was a stroke of goddamn insane genius that made each race way more fun and crazy than it normally would be. Plus, Double Dash was home to some of the best tracks in the series, like the Tick-Tock Clock level and my absolute GOAT Baby Park. And while I still believe the DS Mario Kart is the best Mario Kart game, Mario Kart Double Dash is easily still one of the best in the business. Even if you have your friend who decides at the last moment they need to throw the item that they could have saved, and we could have won the goddamn race, Craig! See, this is why your girlfriend cheated on you. Oh yeah, we're going there, folks. I was a massive fan of Pokemon when I was a kid, and while I still like the franchise, I do think it's severely lacking in the quality it did used to have. But even if my feelings towards the series are a bit more on the negative nowadays, I still hold the belief that Pokemon Colosseum is the absolute best Pokemon game ever made. This game flipped the entire script on Pokemon itself by having you steal other trainers' Pokemon instead of just going out and catching them. That blew my fucking mind as a kid when that first ever happened. But my single favorite part of this game was just how fucking dirty this game felt. This game had a grimy grunge to it that made it genuinely stand out from the shiny and clean mainline series. I was exploring something completely different in comparison. If you've never played this, I highly recommend you do if you want a truly unique Pokemon experience. I mean, it's kinda obvious this was gonna be on here. Kinda feels like a rite of passage for any GameCube list to have Melee on it somewhere. And here is mine. But you've probably heard it all before when it comes to the praise of this game. A large diverse cast to pick from, excellent well-balanced gameplay, hundreds of hours worth of side content to indulge in, incredibly fun looking stages. My personal favorite was actually the goofy ass stage where you had to jump from, what were they, like the blimps, or were they like parade balloons? Do you guys think they were, or are those the same thing? You know what, that's questions for later. Fight about it in the comments. Get me that interaction bait, why don't you? What was I saying again? Oh yeah, this game was great. The game is just pure fun in both a casual and competitive area. Well, as long as you don't interact all that much with the fandom for certain reasons that may or may not be to the fact that several Smash fans out themselves as, let's just say liking them young. Anyways, next game. We finally made it to the number 2 spot on the list. And I can think of no better game to go here than The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker itself. Pretty much everything about this game is just godly in what it does. The graphics have an amazingly timeless, cartoony feel to them, spectacular and insanely clever level design for every dungeon, smooth as butter gameplay, awesome boss fights, a surprisingly interesting story for a Zelda game, a creative world that's easy to get lost in, secret upon secret to discover out in the vast open sea, wonderful music. I could go on and on, man. The only thing that keeps it from the number 1 spot is that stupid fucking Triforce quest. If they got rid of that, they would have a game that's pretty much perfect in my opinion. One of the only few games I would consider perfect. This doesn't go anywhere, I just wanted to say, So originally I was just gonna go straight to number 1, but for the hell of it, I'm finally gonna get off my ass and stop being lazy and add some honorable mentions to these lists. So let's check them out. Amazing Island. This game is more of a stupid fun than it is actual fun. It's bullshit in a goofy way, and that's why I like it, but by no means do I think it is a good enough game for a top 10 list. Check it out if you want some dumb nonsense, but it really isn't that good of a game. Pikmin. Very interesting world and gameplay, but the Pikmin AI in a few parts were massive pains to deal with after a while. I heard the sequel fixes the problems and is far better, so I'll have to try that someday. Metroid Prime. Really fun gameplay, but the slowness of the game got to me after a while. I think I just mainly prefer 2D Metroid more, to be honest. Still, it's a pretty good first-person shooter, something that the GameCube didn't really have a lot of. Star Fox Adventure. A very unique way to take the Star Fox IP, and had some really fun staff combat and cool-looking worlds. But its shooting controls were absolute cancer to deal with. Pokemon XD. Great sequel, but it lacks the grimy grossness that made the original as fun and unique as it was. Still a great game, though. Of motherfucking course, this was gonna be my number one on this list. No other game even comes close to the pure quality Thousand Year Door had, in my personal and very much right opinion. This game has it all. Amazing looking graphics, perfect gameplay, engaging story, level and item design, not seen in pretty much any other Mario game in comparison. An interesting set of antagonists that are more than just our good boy Bowser. Well, not good boy, but you know what I mean. And so much more to love in this wonderful game. There's a reason I consider this game one of my favorite video games of all time. And I even made a video about just how good it was a while back if you're interested. Shameless plug aside, Thousand Year Door is an absolute masterpiece that everyone should play, especially since the remake is coming soon. Day one buy for certain. And that, ladies and gents, is the end of the video. Thank you all for joining me for another one, and thanks again for 600 subs. Always appreciate you guys for helping me reach these pretty little milestones. The next special will be when we hit 750 subs, so stay tuned for that. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time for more RPG content.